Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a few days since I've uploaded a video, but we were out of town up at the Wisconsin Dells for a baseball tournament for my son. Lots of fun. So today's video, what does it cost for me to own this car? What did I pay for it? Now, I've mentioned a few of these details in passing in a number of my other videos. So to a certain extent, this video is a little bit repetitious, but I never really consolidated it down into one explanation. So I wanted to shoot this video because I've been receiving more and more questions here of late about the purchase cost of the car, cost of ownership month to month, maintenance, that kind of thing. And I've had this car now for, I believe it's 14 months. And so I'm going to take you back all the way to the announcement that Tesla made. Now, you can fast forward through the video if you just want to get to the numbers only, but there's a bit of setup required for this. So bear with me here. So going back about, I'd say it was 3 years or so ago, I told my wife, I said, at the time I was driving my Ford C-Max Hybrid, great car. It just turned over 200,000 miles. My adult son is currently using it, and he's agreed to let me do a review of the car, so look for that coming up soon. But I was using that car, and I told my wife, I said, I want to trade this thing in, or at least get something different, right at about 200,000 miles. Or excuse me, I wanted to get something different at about 180,000 miles. Not sure why that number came to mind, but I just got the impression that the car was going to begin to have some problems right at that point, which it actually hasn't. I have done a couple of things to it, but that's fodder for another video. So I told her, I said, I understand that Chevy's coming out with a little hatchback, which has become the Chevy Bolt EV. Good car, by the way. And Tesla's supposed to be coming out with a car that they say is going to start at 35 grand. Now, as a side note, let's not fool ourselves. Anyone that's followed Tesla knows that nothing ever gets released at the price that they said that it was going to. Call it bait and switch, call it what you want, but they always release cars with large options packs. So I told her, I said, it's probably going to be in the 40s. But I said, with autopilot, I'd be willing to pay up to 50 because I knew what the car would ultimately save me in operations expense and that. So I said, it looks like we've got about 3 years or so, 2 years or so before I'll be able to get an electric car. So I said, that's perfect because that's right when I want one. Well, so then Tesla announced several months after this, hey, you'll be able to go to your local Tesla store and reserve a car for $1,000. So I talked to my wife about it, and we are not the kind of people to go to a theater or, and wait for overnight to get tickets to some opening night event or whatever. It's just not something that we ever do. We talked about it, and I said, the Chevy's probably a little bit more practical. And I said, but, the Tesla is supposed to have this autopilot that's supposed to take a load off driving. What should I do? And she looked at me and she said, get the Tesla. She says, you've never had a nice car, go ahead and get the Tesla. So, great wife, by the way. And so I said, all right. And I said, they're going to have this event, and I said, I'll just order it online. She said, go to the store and stand in line. She said, you've never done anything like this before. And for those of you locals that subscribe to the channel that know my wife, you may not realize it, but she's actually kind of an adventurous person. She said, you know what, go ahead and go stand in line and, do the whole fanboy thing. Okay, whatever. Well, I was anything but a Tesla fanboy at the time, but I thought, all right, this will be fun. So I drove out to my closest Tesla store, which is Highland Park, Illinois. It's like a 50-minute drive away. Got there about 2.5 hours, I think it was, 3 hours before they opened. And I was number 9 in line that day, which eventually there were probably upwards of 1,000 people in line, because I was 9th away from the door. But by the time they opened the door, the line went along the building, around the corner, and along the entire back side of the building and into the parking lot. It was interesting. I was stepping back from the line and taking pictures and all the rest. It was kind of a fun thing. Well, so the line began moving and we got into the store, and I ordered my car 4 minutes after the orders began. Gave my $1,000 deposit. Now, here's where we start with the numbers. So my car was, the car itself with the options pack and with, because this is a rear wheel drive car with a long range battery pack and premium upgrades package. That was the only way that you could get the car at the time. And it's a relatively early car, VIN number 9,300 and something. I know Mark Benton had VIN number 82. There's a bunch of people around on YouTube that have VINs that are lower, but considering the fact that right now they are delivering cars in the mid 400,000s, you know, this car is a pretty low VIN when you consider everything. So, relatively low VIN car, and a long-range rear-wheel drive premium options pack, and I have what's called enhanced autopilot. Now, this isn't something you can get anymore. Right now, it's standard autopilot or full self-driving, and the full self-driving comes and goes off of Tesla's site periodically. But what enhanced autopilot is the standard autopilot options with a few additional things like navigate on autopilot, which currently is only available to people that have full self-driving as an option, and there's a few other things, but it is it's a cross between standard autopilot and full self-driving. So that's what I got. Now my car with delivery charge or whatever was $56,000. With tax and everything combined was a shade over $60,000. If I remember correctly, it was like $60,100 or something like that. Now, I initially put my $1,000 deposit on the car, and then when I configured the car, I got an email invite that said, congratulations, you can go ahead and configure your car. And when I went online to configure my car, I had to put an additional $2,500 deposit on the car. So what that did is it took my buy-in at that point to $3,500. Once my car was manufactured and a delivery date was set up, I was then invited to arrange financing or to fully pay off the car. Didn't have that much money in savings, so I opted to finance it. Well, I ended up getting 3.25% interest. I believe it is through Chase Bank. And Chase Bank required a 10% down payment of what the full out-the-door price of the car was, which again was a little over $60,000. So I had to then fork over a little over $6,000 more for a down payment. So if you're keeping track in your head, this is just shy of $10,000 that I put down in the car. So that means that I was financing a little over $50,000, $51,000, something like that I was financing. And I got a loan at 3.25% interest, and I got a 6-year loan. Now, I highly recommend getting a far shorter loan. And I'll explain why I got a 6-year loan here in just a second. But I also make far larger payment on the car. I make well over double car payments on this thing at this point. So, but I got a 6-year loan primarily because when I was looking at the interest rate, I had to go down to a 3-year loan in order to get any better interest rate than the 3.25%. My credit score is, oh, it's insane. It's like 840 or something like that. It's extremely high. So my interest rate was so low that even though I have a long-term loan, the interest rate was still very low. Now, here's where it gets interesting. My 6-year loan, again, the car was a little over $60,000 out the door. I put just shy of $10,000 down, so I financed just over $50,000 for 6 years at 3.25%. That makes my car payment $776 a month. Now, that's important to remember because I use this car for business. My business has a monthly budget of $900 for a vehicle. Now, I came up with that number a few different ways. A lot of it starts way back, like 21 years ago or something, 21, maybe 22 years ago, the gas prices had gone through the roof. Gas was at like $1.60 or something like that a gallon right before all this, and then it went up and up and up, and it absolutely went through the stratosphere. And the highest I remember paying was $4.09 a gallon. Again, this was over 20 years ago. So at the time I had a Chevy Astrovan, and that Astrovan got 14 miles to the gallon. And with gas at over $4 a gallon, I was putting $72 of gas in that van every second day. It was killing me. So 3 times a week, essentially, I was having to fill this thing up. Now, that's, you know, every day wasn't a work day, but basically it boiled down to, I was spending, I think it was $780 a month in gas. Just gas. On a piece of junk Chevy Astrovan that I hated. You literally had to start it with a screwdriver because the barrel assembly and the steering column was bad. It was a piece of junk. So I between the price of gas and insurance and maintenance on that thing, it was like $950 a month I was averaging. So I got rid of that, and I got a Dodge, a 4-cylinder Dodge van and a little minivan, and that minivan was it was better on gas, and it was a little bit more reliable, but you know, let's face it, it was a Chrysler product, so not super reliable. So it broke down on a somewhat regular basis, not frequent but regular. And between the price of gas, maintenance, and everything on that vehicle, it was like $800 and something a month. And so I got rid of that and got my Ford C-Max hybrid. And I did the math, and I stressed over that for probably 3 or 4 months. You know, writing down numbers and, you know, adding it up. I just did not want to take out a loan. It was going to be a $30,000 car, and I didn't have that much money in cash at the time, so I knew I'd have to finance it. I talked to wise people I knew, and I just couldn't get over this whole expense. So I ended up buying my Ford C-Max after doing a ton of research, and it was the best vehicle to fit my needs. It was either going to be that or a Toyota Prius V, which was their larger wagon. And I opted for the Ford C-Max for a couple of reasons. One is that reviewers said that it's actually, for a hybrid, it's a driver's car. They said it actually corners well. The chassis platform is based on the Focus ST, and that chassis platform, it corners well. It's rugged. It's reliable. And a friend of mine works at Ford Corporate out in California, and his name is Nick Case. He's actually, if you want to Google him, he holds the world land speed record for electric RC cars, 202.2 miles an hour, if I remember correctly. And Nick's a really great guy. He works at Ford Corporate, and I got an X-Plan discount from him, which was just short of $3,000. So that brought the car down to like $26,000 or $27,000. And so my loan was $500 a month, and that car cost me $250 a month in gas. Then with insurance at $60 a month, it was $810 a month to own my Ford C-Max. Wonderful. It was less than my $900 per month budget. So when I looked at buying this car, I crunched all the numbers, and I knew that it was going to cost me less than $900 a month. But I thought it would be right up there at $900 because I figured insurance would be higher and I have to charge the car and all that. Well, when it came right down to it, I financed the car. Again, $776 a month is what my payment is. And I know that I did have to put $10,000 down, so it's my monthly expense amortized over a period of time is a little bit different than what I'm quoting, but there's the tax credit and different things that offset some of that. But basically, this car's $776 a month, and I looked at insurance, and I was quoted $135 per month to insure this car. Now, I have American Family Insurance, and at the time, this was 15 months ago or whatever, that I was looking to activate insurance for the car. American Family in our area had no Model 3s in the system whatsoever. So they had to go out to California to look at their numbers out there on what it would cost to insure a Model 3. And the insurance quote was very high. It was $135 a month, just because they really didn't have anything on the books. Right now it would be cheaper to insure a Model 3. But at the time, I got a high quote just because they were like, we don't know what this thing's going to cost to maintain. All they knew locally was that Model S's are aluminum, they're expensive to do body work on, blah, blah, blah. Well, so I was complaining. I said, there's guys online that are paying like $60 a month to insure their cars. What's the deal? I don't have any accidents, tickets against my record, nothing. What's going on? So eventually what they did is this was car number 4 in a household of only 2 drivers. So what they did is they took all 4 cars, and rather than having 4 individual policies, they put them all into a group or a fleet policy, I think it is. And what happened was, when I added this car, the 4 cars with this one combined is $60 a month cheaper than when we just had 3 cars individually. So that actually dropped our monthly expenses. Now, I didn't really account for that in my monthly business expense for the vehicle, just because I thought, that's a bit of a fluke. It is costing me something to insure. But basically, I keep insurance cost at a 0 because, again, they rearranged my insurance when I purchased this car, and it actually saved me money. So we'll call insuring this car a 0 just because of that situation. And I know that's not going to be the case for nearly everybody buying a car, but that's the way it worked for me. So now my charging expense, it cost me right around $75 per month in electric bill to charge this car. So $775 or $776 a month payment plus $75 a month to charge the car. We're right at about $850 a month. That's what this car cost me to own. And again, my business budget is $900 per month for a vehicle. Now, you may ask, well, what about maintenance expense? Very, very good question. The only maintenance I've done to this car at all is add washer fluid. I've got, 46,456 miles on this car, and I've only ever added washer fluid to it. So that's, under warranty, there was a minor issue with the charge port door. I had an error on the screen. It was still functional, but Tesla sent out a mobile service truck. I did a video on this early on, and they changed it, the charge port door in my driveway. It was no big deal, but there's no maintenance that's been needed. I'm just now starting to wear out my original set of tires. Now, I do have an aftermarket set of wheels and tires, and I'm doing an update video on that coming up soon. They're not currently on the car, and again, I'm doing a video on that coming up. I'll explain why on another video. But so maintenance, I will need maintenance on this car at some point, but currently I don't need any maintenance. Now, going back to my 6-year loan at $776 a month, I actually, we used to have a Honda Civic Si that we traded in on our little BMW convertible. That Civic Si, we were paying that off very rapidly. We were paying $1,800 or $1,900 a month down on that car to pay it off right away. And we could have paid cash for it, but the interest was so cheap that we got a loan, and then we were just paying it off radically. When we traded that car in on the BMW, this car became the next highest interest rate. And 3.25%, this is the highest interest we're paying on anything. So now we're lumping all that on this car. So I'll be making, whatever it is, $1,800 a month payments on this car. So this car will be paid off in about 2 years from now. So that means that I will have paid this car off within about a 3-year span, not the 6 years that I took out the loan. So I don't normally recommend a 6-year loan, but the interest was low and it fit into my business budget. And that goes into some business principles related to owning a car. I was talking with a subscriber that also does appliance repair, same as I. Just yesterday I was talking to him on the phone, and we were discussing, should he get not necessarily a Model 3, although possibly, but some other EV or a hybrid or whatever. And he was struggling with purchase cost and that. And I said, you have to, for a business, you have to look at monthly budget. Now, for personal things, personal purchases, I try to stay away from loans if possible. But for a business, as long as you know what your revenue is monthly, it can be better to spend more on the vehicle or on the tool or whatever you're financing. There's a Bolt EV just went by. It's a lot of times better to buy a nicer item and finance it longer for a business if you can plot your business revenue over that period of time, and you know that over that period of time it's also going to generate additional revenue for you that justifies its existence over that, the loan's term over that period of time. Now that brings me to with my car, part of the reason that I chose a Tesla was because I knew I was going to start this channel. This channel was already running, but I had very little on it. I knew I wanted to flesh out this channel and grow it based on the Tesla. And I figured if I bought a Chevy Bolt, I'd get some videos. I'd make some videos, I'd get some views. But I knew for sure it wasn't going to be anywhere near the number of views that I have on, owning this Model 3. So I figured, well, I can grow my channel and get some YouTube revenue off of the ownership experience of the car. It fits my business budget and all that. Now, there are a bunch of other things, and I'm going to do a separate follow-up video on the business expense and savings. Maybe I'll make that my next video, I don't know. But I'll do a follow-up video on different things like the $7,500 tax credit and the fact that the car requires no oil changes. I never have to stop for gas, and what the time that saves me for my business. And that'll be a part 2 of this video, but this is already becoming a bit long. So keep your eye out for that video. But I wanted to lay all this out for you guys to explain how it works into my business. There are some additional points to that. So I'll do a follow-up video on that. You know what? I'll just commit to doing that. That'll be my next video. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. Keep your eye open for the next, keep your eyes peeled for the next video. That should be out tomorrow. And I'll explain some of the ramifications of business ownership of a vehicle. And we'll get a little bit deeper into it then. So thanks a lot, guys. Have yourselves a wonderful day. As always, my referral code will be a link in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. If you like to listen to someone talk your ear off while driving a Tesla Model 3. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye now. Wow, I talk way too much.